Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about a new build, which is the Support Chronomancer build for War vs Sword. This build is actually not new, but it was buffed because it was introduced to the rifle, which is a support weapon, even if you might think rifle is an offensive weapon. On the Chronomancer, this weapon is actually a support weapon. So also, I want to mention that in the thumbnail I wrote that this class is still good because it was nerfed pretty hard in the latest patch, but still it works, it's very strong, it's still considered meta in every squad composition probably, so I think it was worth it to mention the new rifle updates and the new nerfs. The build I will show you is totally focused on support, so we will have very low boon strip. We will run these straight lines, which are Chaos, Inspiration and Chronomancer. If you want more strips, maybe I will do another video in the future, but just run, instead of Inspiration, you should go for Domination, which has very good traits to remove boons from enemies. Now let's get into the full support build then. Okay, we have on Chaos, we run Illusionary Defense. Whenever we shatter, shatters are the skills from F1 to F4. Whenever we shatter, we also grant protection to allies, and also we grant an additional protection per each clone we shatter. So if we shatter just without clones, we will get the base duration, since our body counts as a clone. Then we have Gain Chaos Aura when we use Shatter Skill 2. When we have Chaos Aura, condition damage you deal is increased. Okay, we don't need this. Okay, here the good part is that we press F2 and we get Chaos Aura, and this minor trait really synergizes well with this one, which is Chaotic Transference. When you grant Chaos Aura to yourself, grant it to nearby allies. When you apply Chaos Aura to an ally, grant them boons. So why this Chaos Aura is so important? Let's see the wiki page. Chaos Aura is very important because whenever we get hit by an enemy, we will get protection or regeneration or swiftness, and as you see, the base duration is pretty high, and also we will have a lot of boon duration, so basically multiply these boons for like 1.5, if not more. And also we will inflict weakness or confusion or cripple on the enemies. And why this is so important? Okay, protection is very strong, regeneration is strong, but there are many classes which can provide it, and swiftness same for regeneration. And also these conditions might seem kinda clueless for you, but still imagine you have all of these boons all the time while you have stability. The enemies will try to strip your stability all the time, but they will remove these boons maybe instead of the stability. So if you have stability, you can free cast and you can survive and you can kill your enemies and you can dodge and so on. The same goes kinda for the conditions, and this is why it's called Condi cover and boon cover. These conditions are not that good, except maybe weakness and also cripple, because it will remove 50% of the movement speed from an enemy. But also imagine the enemy gets immobilized and they try to remove immobilize and they keep spamming their Condi cleanses, but they still keep removing weakness, confusion, cripple, so the immobilize stays there, and in the meanwhile they just die because they are immobile in that position, so they will just die. So this is why this Chaos Aura is so important. Consider that this can trigger once every attack per enemy, once every second. So you will get a lot of protection, regeneration and swiftness, and apply a lot of weakness, confusion and cripple. And also your Chaos Aura is shared to your allies with this trait, which is why it's very important to spam your Chaos Aura as much as you can, and I will tell you which Chaos Aura you have available in your skill set. For now, let's go on with the build. We have this trait, which is very strong. It was buffed some months ago, and this is the reason why this class can work. Basically, we will gain stability when we use a Shatter skill. It's that 1.5 seconds of stability you see at the end of this tooltip. This stability is only on ourselves. You see F1 and we get stability. This stability is only on ourselves. And then each Shatter skill will provide AoE boons, so for us and also for our allies, just by pressing them. immediately, so the F1 will grant 3 stacks of might, the F2 will grant vigor and also the chaos aura because of this trait here, illusionary membrane, so this is one of your chaos auras. On the F3 we will grant AoE fury for like 18 seconds, so it's huge. The F4 will grant 3 stacks of stability for almost 7 seconds. And then we will have on the F5, which has a very huge cooldown, but still I want to mention it, of course, we have the resistance, not to mention also that our F5, the continuum split, allows us to use our skills twice for a short duration of time, depending on how many clones you have active when you press your F5 first. So all of these boons you see here, basically you can spam them like twice because of the continuum split. And also we have Signet of Illusions, which I run as a utility, and it will recharge all of your Shatter Skills, from the F1 to the F4. The F5 does not get recharged from the Signet of Illusions, of course, otherwise it would be too OP. Next up we have Inspiration, we have Cast Lesser Power Cleanse when we use a healing skill, so our skill 6 will provide a Condi removal AoE when we cast it. Then we have Feedback, Medic's Feedback. Whenever we start reviving an ally, we will create a feedback on the location, and this feedback will grant healings to the downed allies, and also it will of course reflect the projectiles as a normal feedback. It's also a combo field ethereal, and if you blast it or if you leap in it, you will get Chaos Aura. Let me show you very quickly. Okay, this is feedback, you place it, you press your skill 2 for example, which is a leap, you get Chaos Aura, and this Chaos Aura is shared via this trait. So you don't have to run this feedback, but this feedback from this trait is the same. And also thanks to other traits like this one, you will get resistance and super speed whenever you cast a glamour, and feedback is a glamour, and also the feedback from this trait is a glamour. So you will get resistance and super speed on yourself and also on your allies, and this is why this is the best trait here. The other two are kinda bad, and so just run Medic's Feedback. Here we have a strong minor trait. We grant ages to nearby allies whenever we use our Shatter Skill 4. We will have Shatter Skill 4 here, which maybe we can cast twice because of the continuum split, and then we can reset it again with this skill, the Signet of Illusion. So basically we have 3 distortions for us, or 3 times the Shatter Skill 4, so 3 times we will apply Aegis AoE around us. Then this trait, I already talked about it. We will grant super speed and resistance to allies whenever we cast a glamour. We have a glamour here. Also Nullfield is a glamour, and also Time Warp, which is our elite skill, I will explain why, is another glamour. Then here we have increased healing to other allies. Summoning an illusion heals all allies around you. This is very good minor trait. And then here I saw some people going for mental defense, Shatter Skill 4, grant boons and breaks allies out of stuns. It's very strong actually, because as I already said, we will have like 2 or 3 of our F4 in a very short period of time, so we will have 3 stun breaks and 3 resistance applications of like 7 seconds each. But in my opinion, you should just be going for restorative illusions, because each time we shatter, we will heal allies around us. As you can see, 1k if we have no clones. Most of the time we will have no clones because they die in the fights. And so each time we shatter, you see 1k AoE heal, another 1k, another 1k, another 1k. Then maybe we just reset them with the continuum split, another 4k. Then we reset them again with the Signet of Illusion, another 4k. The healings is not so strong, but also this trait will remove 1 condition per shatter, so 5 conditions, 10 conditions, 15, 20, and so on, because it's 1 condition per 5 allies. So keep in mind that if you need stun breaks and resistance, maybe you could go for mental defense. If you see the healings and the Condi removals are lacking, you can go restorative illusion. They are very good traits, both of them. They are maybe actually mental defense is better in most situations, because most of the time there are just so many heals because people run like 4 supports and 1 DPS in a single party. So it's up to you. In my opinion, you should go maybe restorative illusion or mental defense. It's up to the situation. It's also worth noting that we have a lot of resistance from other classes. Also, right now there are a lot of renegades which play Malik's legend, which will apply AoE resistance like off cooldown, like permanently. So maybe this trait is not the best. It really depends on your composition, but still the break stun component is very strong and should be used wisely. If you run this trait, please save your F4 to save your allies. The first Chronomancer traits are kinda bad, but in my opinion you should just go for All's Well That Ends Well, since we have a well for healing skill and we will apply a lot of heal at the end of it, and also this well will apply some other healing to allies just by default, and also it will remove conditions every pulse to allies. So in my opinion you should just be going for Well of Eternity instead of going for the Mantra of Recovery, which is the main choice of other builds I've seen around for the Chronomancer. So in my opinion just go for this trait and then the Mantra trait, and then the well healing skill, sorry. If you don't run this trait and if you don't like the well, just go for delayed reaction. So maybe whenever you disable your enemies you will apply slow on them, but still you will not disable enemies a lot because we don't even run the elite well of gravity. So just go for All's Wells That Ends Wells with Well of Eternity. Here we will get alacrity on ourselves for each clone we shatter. We count as a clone, as I already mentioned earlier. Then here we have alacrity applied to you is stronger but has a reduced duration. It's okay, it's the best trait here because the other two are just bad. And then here you can choose, you want to apply quickness on your allies when you shatter. You see F3, quickness, F2, quickness again. You can go seize the moment if you feel your party and your squad need quickness. Otherwise, most of the time people prefer to go for alacrity because alacrity sources are very low right now, except maybe the new renegade build, which I will make a video about, which will provide almost perma alacrity alone. In that case, if you are in a subgroup with a renegade which provides alacrity, you can go for quickness because too much alacrity is not needed. Normally just go for stretched time, which basically applies the flow of time trait to your allies. Flow of time now affects nearby allies. Grant alacrity to nearby allies when we summon a phantasm. We will have a phantasm on our skill 3 from the staff and on our skill 4 from the rifle. So we will have 2 additional sources of alacrity for ourselves and also for our allies, and also we will share the alacrity from flow of time also to our allies, which is huge. We will provide a lot of alacrity thanks to that trait. Consider that we shatter a lot and I didn't even use the continuum split. You see we have alacrity for the whole duration, so it's very strong to have. The gears are pretty easy. They are of course full minstrel, and I chose to run the superior rune of the water because it has more boon duration compared to the monk rune, which has more healing power. And in my opinion we don't really need that much healing power because this build will not really provide a lot of heals. However you play it, there's no way you can out heal, for example, like scrappers or druids or heal vindicators especially. So the most important part of this class is to provide a lot of boons to your allies, so every boon duration is welcome. On this stuff we run Superior Sigil of Transference and Superior Sigil of Benevolence because we don't need additional boon duration, sorry, because as you can already see we have 71, and also if I apply some boons with the Relic of the Herald we reach like 100%, so it's enough. And then we have on the rifle Transference and Energy, so we don't lose that 10% healing for allies, and we also get an additional dodge on ourselves whenever we switch to this weapon in combat. The trinkets, are everything is on the minstrel. Please ignore the precise word versus word infusion. These are from other builds in this character, so I just chose to apply them on the trinkets. And then the relic, as I already said, is Relic of the Herald, because it applies 25 concentration on yourself whenever you grant a boon to an ally, and each time you reapply a boon, you get another stack, of course, and it will refresh the existing stacks. So we will get basically permanent 250 concentration, which is like enough to reach the maximum boon duration we need. So you see 100 all the time. So this is it. Now let's cover the weapon skills. Let's start from the staff. The auto attack is a projectile, but still it's worth mentioning because it will bounce on allies and on enemies, and it will apply boons on allies and conditions on enemies. Then the skill 2 basically makes you far away from the target. You are targeting this guy, you press 2, you run away from it. And also it's a combo finisher leap, and you should be using this in a combo field ethereal, which is, for example, your null field or your skill 5 from the staff. You see skill 2, Chaos Aura, and I share the Chaos Aura, so we will also share a lot of boons with these traits. So this is very important to use. It's a relatively low cooldown. You can use it for together with the null field, which is an ethereal combo field. Also your time warp is an ethereal combo field, and also the feedback from this trait is another ethereal combo field. So it's very good to know that you can apply Chaos Aura with this skill, a lot of Chaos Auras. The skill 3 will apply a phantasm on the enemy, which will attack them. Then the skill 4 is Chaos Armor. You press it and you get Chaos Aura on you and on your allies. So it's a free Chaos Aura. And then we have the skill 5, which will apply a combo field ethereal on the ground, and also it will daze on the first pulse, and each subsequent pulse will apply Aegis or Resolution or Swiftness on the allies above this field, and also apply Chill or Poison or Weakness on the enemies on this field. So this is very good to have, and also please keep in mind that this has a 1 second daze when you cast it. So it's a CC you can use to interrupt the enemies if they don't have stability, of course. So this is very good to know. Now it's time for the rifle, which is the new weapon, which was introduced to the game like 1 month ago, so it's pretty new. Let's start from the auto attack. It's a projectile, single target projectile, which also will apply an AoE healing around the target. Then the skill 2 is a 2k healing with also regeneration on allies, cripple on enemies and damage on enemy. You press it, you see you shoot this bullet and you will do damage and healing in that area. The skill 3 is very important because it applies a combo field ethereal, and also if you press it again you will blast it, so it's an additional Chaos Aura. Basically you will throw an AoE on the ground, and if you don't press it again it will explode on its own and it will apply Might and Fury on the allies. Otherwise, if you explode it you will blast the ethereal field and also will remove 1 condition from allies, and also apply a big healing, some damage, AoE blindness, AoE regeneration. So my suggestion is just to press it basically immediately. You press it and you press it again, so you get AoE Chaos Aura and also the other skills I mentioned, like the Condi removal, the healing and so on. Now I cannot see the subsequent skill because this skill I am in combat, sorry, so this is why you can see it now. Then the skill 4 basically will summon a phantasm. It's pretty slow and also it's a projectile, but still it will summon a phantasm and you can shatter it after it turns into an illusion, so it's good to know. And the shot from the phantasm will stun enemies on the AoE. Basically you will target an enemy like this one, you summon the phantasm and the shot is AoE. You see I stunned everyone. The skill 5 is another very potent skill because it will apply like 4k of barrier to allies and also resistance, and then you can press it again to summon a single use portal, and also this thingy will increase the cooldown of this skill by 33%. I wouldn't recommend using this, maybe it's good in PvP or in some roaming builds. For War vs World it's just bad because no one will get this portal, and also even if they do, it's 1 person, so it's not worth it. Just cast it on your allies for the barrier and for the resistance. The Shatter Skills are the F1, F2, F3 and F4. The F1 will deal some AoE damage, and also after a delay you will deal additional damage. We don't care about this damage because we deal 0 damage on this build. We care about the boons. We will get might, alacrity and also protection because of this trait, even if it's not mentioned in the tooltip. You see a lot of boons just by pressing it. The stability is just on ourselves. Every other boon I mentioned to you is shared with everyone. The F2 applies vigor, alacrity and protection, and also will remove a condition, of course, because of the traits, and we'll also get Chaos Aura on ourselves and on our allies. The F3 will apply fury, alacrity, protection, condition remove, and also it's a stun, is a daze, sorry, on one target, and it will apply slow on the enemies. Also the F2 will apply confusion, sorry I didn't mention it. The F4 is very important because it will apply a lot of stability on our allies, and also it basically makes you invulnerable for the duration, which is 1 second per clone you shatter. You see now I have 2 clones, I shatter and I'm immortal for 3 seconds, basically invulnerable for 3 seconds, and we will get stability on our allies, alacrity, protection and conde removal. So this is very huge to know. And all of these shatters combined with the continuum split are really huge. The continuum split will apply resistance on the initial part. Let's see how it works. For example, let's summon some phantasm so I can show you better. For example, these ones. Now I press my continuum split and I can cast basically every skill. For example, time warp, and then this one, and then I revert back in time. I have every skill ready again, and this is why Chronomancer will just be the best support build for the Mesmer ever, because Mirage and Virtuoso just don't have the continuum split and the shatters are just worse. So this is how the shatter works. On the utility skills, I run Well of Eternity. I already mentioned why. AoE conde removal, AoE heals, and also the mantra is kinda useless in my opinion. Then we get Nullfield, which is a glamour, and also in this AoE the enemies will get their boons removed and the allies will get their conditions removed, and also it's a glamour, resistance and super speed thanks to the trait. It's one of your top priority skills to use when you use your continuum split together with the time warp. Then we get Mantra of Concentration. It has a long channel on the start, and at the end we will grant Aegis and stability on allies, and then we will get 2 stacks of these of Power Break, which is a stun break, and also applies 5 additional stacks of stability when you press it. You see 5 stacks on you and on your allies. I would recommend to consume it fully because also the channeling is very good. It's not like the Firebrand mantras, which are just bad on the channeling, like they provide nothing when you channel them. This one will provide a lot of stability and ages, and also the cooldown of the channel is like 25 seconds, while the stacks have 30 seconds cooldown, so it's just better to consume the stacks. The other utility skill I choose to run is Signet of Illusion. It's very strong because basically each time you are in combat, once every 10 seconds you will summon an illusion, and if you press it actively you will recharge every shatter skill, which is huge to have because it means that you will spam a lot of much more boons compared to the Chronomancers which don't run this. Other alternatives are, for example, Illusion of Life, which is this skill right here, which basically will make allies alive from the downed state for 15 seconds until they manage to kill an enemy, otherwise they go down again. It's very good to revive people, especially combined with transfusion from the Scourge. You transfuse your allies down to you, and then you Illusion of Life on the Scourge, so you will revive all of them. Otherwise, some people go for Mimic, which is basically a 0 seconds cooldown on any utility skill, but I wouldn't recommend it for this build. Otherwise, some other people, like 1 per squad, will run the Veil. You press it, and everyone who goes around this gets super speed and also stealth and resistance because of the trait. And this skill is run because of the stealth, so you can better initiate on the enemies, but I rarely see it in the latest fights I had, because stealth is almost useless. Right now everyone just tanks everything. You stand in the place and press every skill, so the strategy is not there. In my opinion, just go Nullfield, Mantra of Concentration and Signet of Illusions. If you want to swap out something, swap out the Signet of Illusions maybe, because the other two skills are just very good and you shouldn't be skipping them. The elite skill, I know most of the people will run Gravity well because of the CCs, but since we have everyone on the enemy and on our allies to have stability, we will get really poor value from this. So in my opinion, Time Warp is very strong because it's first a combo field ethereal, so if you blast it you apply Chaos Aura, and also if you leap into it you get Chaos Aura on yourself and you share it to your allies with this trait. And also it's unblockable, which is very huge to know, because it will apply slow and shield on the enemies for like 5 seconds and they can't do anything about it. And also the AoE is huge, so basically slow and shield are so strong because shield will slow the cooldown of enemy skills, and slow is basically the opposite of quickness, so the enemies will just be slower by using their skills. So keep in mind that this is very strong, but also resistance will fuck up this skill on the enemies, because if they have resistance, both slow and shield will be useless. And also for the whole duration of this skill, we will provide super speed to our allies. You see 1.5 seconds pulsing super speed, not to mention the super speed we get from the temporal enchanter, because this is a glamour skill. And also we will get resistance because of this trait still. And then we will have, last but not least, permanent quickness for the duration of the time warp and even beyond. You see, quickness, quickness, quickness reapplied, quickness, quickness again. You see we still have like 5 seconds of quickness at the end of the time warp, which already lasts for 5 seconds. Imagine casting it with the continuum split. It's almost permanent quickness for a fight which lasts basically like 20 seconds. So it's very huge to have, combined with your alacrity, which already you provide. So you can provide both of the most important boons, which are alacrity and quickness, for offensive skills, almost permanently for a short fight, of course. I know this video is already kinda long, but please stick with me, because now it's the most important part. It's the commentary, which basically tells you how to play, what to press during a fight. I make mistakes also, so if you have better ideas, you can use them. Of course, I am human. My fingers don't react from my brain all the time. So please be kind in the comments if I fuck up something. I'm not a Chronomancer main. So let's get into it. Also, if you like my content, please consider subscribing and liking the videos, so you show me your support to the channel. So let's get into it. This is a fight. We start from inside this tower and we start attacking enemies which are outside. Here just check your allies, check if they have conditions of them, if they need barriers, resistance, and so on. You have access to every boon. I cast my well here for some heals. We didn't have a firebrand here, so we needed some more stability and heals. We had basically, though, a support, the Dragon Hunter, which is very common right now to have instead of the firebrand. I stay on the rifle. I used my time warp with the continuum split, as you could see, and during the continuum split I used every shatter, so I will get every shatter back again. Now I have everything ready again. Resistance from the skill 5 and barrier from the skill 5. The fight didn't start yet. I got pulled, immediately F4 to get stability and distortion on myself and go back to the Zerg. Then I channel the mantra for the stability, and now we should be going out from the portal. I buff my allies with the Chaos Aura. We are ready to go out. Immediately I cast my time warp on the fight. We know we will clash here. The fight stops here. We will have at least 5 seconds of fight here, so time warp is used very well now. Then I swapped to the staff. Immediately I see I'm about to go down because I have nothing. We have a lot of conditions on ourselves. I get away from the fight and immediately use my signet to recharge my Shatter Skills. The first one should be your skill F4, sorry, because it makes you invulnerable for the duration, so you can spam the other skills and survive. You see F4, F3, F2, F1, every boon on myself and on my allies. I have still another stack of the stability mantra. I don't use it yet because I have stability on me and I see my allies have stability, almost all of them. At this point I go back to Rifle, skill 3, and I blast it for the additional AoE Chaos Aura from the blast, skill 5. The most important skills on your Rifle are the skill 3 and the skill 5 for the healing, condi removal, resistance and barrier, and also Chaos Aura. The skill 2 is good for the might application and for the heals, and also the low cooldown. I used my mantra, I have nothing left, I use my skill 4 for the phantasm, and then I swap back to staff. I use immediately my skill 2, I get Chaos Aura with the skill 4 and I share it, of course, skill 3 for the phantasm. I am basically out of cooldown, you can spam your out attacks. Maybe I used my cooldowns pretty badly in this fight, especially before engaging, when I was inside the tower, but it's okay, I guess. I should have done better just by watching this, and this is why I recommend watching your replays and your footage so you can get better at the classes. Now I'm waiting for my skill 5, you can see it, I'm already pressing it in my head, you see, skill 5, I drop it on the ground and we get boons. I immediately use my skill 2 on the skill 5, so I get Chaos Aura from the lip, and then I shared it with my allies, Chaos Aura AoE, I swap immediately to Rifle, you see immediately skill 3, and I blast it, so I get another Chaos Aura. Here I'm very low, I cast my well, which will heal me, and I remove Condi, and at the end it will apply a bigger heal. Now I channel again my stab mantra, I get stunned, skill 5 from the Rifle, skill 2 from the Rifle, then staff again, skill 3, skill 4, skill 2, so a lot of Chaos Aura. I get stunned again while casting my stability mantras. I have null field ready, I cast it here on my allies and also on some enemies, so they both benefit from it. Then stability mantra, I managed to channel it, I have my shatters ready again, and I also have almost my signet ready again, so I can recharge every shatter, and also the continuous split is up again almost, thanks to the alacrity spam we have. I shatter for the boons, skill 5, skill 3, the fight is basically over. I throw the well on the position we are going to, then I use every shatter and immediately recharge them with the signet, and then I just spam my shatters because the fight is over. Okay guys, this was all for today's video. Thank you for sticking with me and for liking my videos and subscribing to the channel. I see a lot of new faces each time, a lot of new members commenting. I'm really happy for that, and I try to respond to everyone. See you on to the next video, I guess. This class is really strong and it keeps staying meta because the boon application is just ridiculous. Just see right now the boons we have on everyone. It's just so strong. I think it will get nerfed again, or maybe not. It depends if the ArenaNet will want to have this boon ball meta again on this War vs World, or if they want to nerf it. I think we will have boon ball for a lot of time because War vs World isn't seeing a lot of updates. Thank you again for watching and have a great night. Bye and stay strong.